Welcome back. I'm now joined by Thabang from Science Technology Institute to talk to us about confidence and how he projects and builds his own self-confidence. Thabang, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks a lot, yes.
Okay, so you come across as one of those people that just naturally oozes confidence. Genuinely, how confident would you say you actually are?
Out of 10, I would say 9.
Okay, and how do you build self-confidence at a level 9?
For me, confidence comes from knowing what you're doing and having spent a lot of time researching about what is it that I should do. And after I started doing that, I got feedback. And that feedback gave me confidence to say I can keep going from one client to the other. And looking at my history of experience, I got to start with one of the biggest clients, which is Anglo-American. So the standard and the professionalism there, I had to adapt very quickly. And to see where Anglo is, and having served them, and getting feedback from them, gave me a lot of confidence to say I can maintain any client. So that confidence comes from there.
So just to get clearer, what is it that you actually do?
We do software development.
Okay.
Our core focus, which is e-learning, which gives the ability to create content, manage content, and deliver content.
Okay.
That's, software development.
Specifically for the e-learning space?
Yes, specifically.
Okay. So in doing that, I imagine there's a lot of people interactions.
Yes.
Okay. So what part do you think confidence plays in your interactions with, not just selling the product, but in delivering the product?
Customer experience, which is the end user. Because the product at the end of the day is to make sure that learning becomes easy, learning becomes memorable. So for me to interact with the end user, I have to understand what is it that people need to understand. So when it comes to behavioral analysis, it's very important to understand that, in psychology as well. So when I build the product, I always make sure that I have to think about how people are going to grasp that knowledge. And what I've noticed that a lot of clients are concentrating on skills development and building institutional memory. So how can we grasp all of that and make sure information becomes knowledge? And with knowledge you can innovate, and with innovation you can be creative in your work and increase productivity in your work.
The interesting thing is, through what you do, would you say that you help companies build confidence as well in their own employees?
Yeah.
And how does that happen?
Things are changing. We live now in they call it the 4th industrial revolution, where the amount of information we have to go through now is twice that of an ancient man in his lifetime. So you can imagine there's a lot of information, there's a lot of changes. So for companies to stay par excellence, they have to adapt to technologies that make it easy for them to be skilled faster, so that they can get back to production.
Okay, and so I'm just sort of looking at you and thinking about how easily this rolls off your tongue. Okay, I'm watching you and thinking to myself, it's like you've got every answer at your fingertips. How do you create that sort of perception? And I suppose one of the things that we need to talk about is, how do you know what you know?
Okay, there's a difference between movement and progress. So now when you're moving around, at first when I was doing my research, I was a rolling stone. I gathered no mass because I was still searching which skills do I possess so that I can tap into the right market. And then after that, I started progressing, and I started seeing that this is the skill that would fit in that industry. Okay. And then from there, things just rolled off. I got to, now I'm learning about Internet of Things, things like blockchain. So they come as from having gathered mass in terms of that knowledge. So when I move forward, it looks easy now, but it was difficult at first. It was very difficult.
So that's really interesting, because you're saying that it was difficult at first, but at the same time you say that your first client was this massive client.
Yeah.
So I know that a lot of entrepreneurs fake it till they make it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I know that typically that first contract is one that you're sitting in the back of your head is going, I'm not sure I can do this.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Was that the case with you as well?
Yeah, it was at first. Because the thing is, I work with, I would say, older people, especially in the skills development, because things like institutional memory, those are people with those kind of responsibilities. So when you get in a boardroom, you're the young one, and a lot is expected to come out of you. So that pushes you to work twice as hard every day to sound, to look the part, because underestimation is huge and it can kill your confidence in terms of business. So when you know what you're doing, people tap into that and understand the pain of the client. Once you do that, then it's like in medicine, when you are a good doctor, you're forever friends with patients.
And people will keep coming back to you because you've actually solved their problem.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that that's a big problem in the skills development industry, where people spend money on skills development, but they kind of go, yeah, what did I really get for it? So how do you maintain that customer relationship?
Continuously, which is continuous improvement, to continuously improve the product.
Okay.
Because when it comes to technology, anything can be outdated by tomorrow, but the main thing is to create an industry. When you look at social media, 10 years ago, social media manager didn't exist. But now they do exist because somebody has created an industry. So the aim is to continuously improve, but most importantly, to make things unique such that people relate with you, not to say, there's a lot of these guys who are doing this. I'm not a tenderpreneur, so I prefer to come up with something new and maintain it. Make sure that continuously I do that.
And of course, to communicate to your client that this is what it is. This is that special thing that you're getting that you can't get from other people. Yeah. I want to focus on you personally for just a second, okay? Because I understand how in the professional space, you've created this, but you as an individual, just kind of walking on the street, you still have that sense of self-confidence. So how, even pre-Science, how have you worked on yourself in order to genuinely have a good sense of yourself?
One of my guides confirmed something that I had way before at Race Corp, which was, you must understand your blueprint. How are you built? Immediately when you tap into the inner self, because everything that is outside was once built, was once thought by someone. So now I had to understand my capabilities. What can I do? What can I offer to the world? Without looking at what's around the world. Because when you look at that, you'll be like, no, there's a TV, so I can create a TV. There's this, there's that. You can create a new TV.
A new version of
a new version of a
better
TV.
version of
Yeah, or a better version, yeah. So now I had to tap into myself and said, okay, what purpose am I going to fulfill? And then from there, everything came. And one of my strongest there's weakness. One of my strongest traits is intuition.
Okay.
I could meditate and think about something way before it comes. And as soon as I get there, I have to tap into another one. So that gives me the gap to say, do it until you get to the finish line. Because if you never get to the finish line, I don't think as a man or woman you'll respect yourself.
That's a really interesting thing, because intuition is generally seen as a very female characteristic. A very it's something that most men would go Yeah. That's actually a bad thing. Yeah. So how have you turned it into a good thing for yourself? How have you thrown off the societal stigma that I don't talk about this?
Yeah. Turn that into a positive thing. When you dream, sometimes you think this dream is too big for me, but until you dissect it and piece by piece, those minute by minute goals. So as soon as I saw that I achieved this in a minute, so what about an hour? What about 2 hours? What about 24 hours? What about a year? And then I started focusing on that. And I think that was my biggest turnaround to recognize my strong point in terms of what I'm doing.
Okay, just a couple of final thoughts, okay? For any entrepreneur out there just starting their business, faking it at the moment. What would be your biggest tip to them in terms of how they can build their own self-confidence?
The main thing is to get started. What I've noticed about a lot of entrepreneurs that they talk about a lot of ideas. There's a lot of ideas that are better than Facebook, but those are ideas. But immediately when you get to implementation, that's where it makes all the difference. That's where you get to see the kind of efforts that you should put. And the next thing is, as Alan Ray say, lose the business plan, because you get to the financials and start estimating big amounts. And when you get into the field, you start realizing that this is not the truth. But as soon as you get started, you start with the idea and you start realizing what are the things that I need. Because when I got to, I think it was my second year of research, I realized that I do not have the business skills side of things. That's why part of the reason why I joined the Raise Corp was to understand how finance work. And that made the whole difference. So now I can see Internet of Things. How do I get about this? And I look at my past successes and say, okay, this is what I did, minute by minute goal. I still stick to the principles, the blueprint of what I adopted way back. And that works even now. And as people now start seeing bigger things, because you might look at Patrice with all the success, but you need to look at how he started. That's the most important point. What he has now, it's minute by minute goals, 24 hours goals. So it didn't happen overnight. So the other thing is never concentrate too much on your competitor. They're not going to pay you. You need to concentrate on your customer.
I love that.
So once you concentrate on your customer, you realize the pain, you realize what other things they need, and you tap into their soul. Okay. Once you do that, then I think you'd get to where you want.
I think that the lesson for today is, as Nelson Mandela said, it always seems impossible until it's done. So get started.
Yeah, get started.
Thabang, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks a lot, yes, for the opportunity.
After the break, I do a wrap-up of the learning of the show, as well as give you your assignment for this week on how to go and build your own self-confidence. Join me for that.